I've always said, if you've got self-doubt, go out and build a case for the positive. Go out and build that evidence, that social proof, those testimonials of you helping people, and really get present to that positive reinforcement that comes back to you. Not the accolades, not the standing ovations, but the heartfelt thanks that people give you.
Welcome to the Bucket List Life Podcast with Trav Bell, the world's #1 bucket list expert. Bucket List Life's mission is to help you get off the treadmill, stop Groundhog Days, hack your habits, and live a regret-free life. Because we know life's way too short not to live your bucket list life. So please welcome your host, Trav Bell, the Bucket List Guy.
Hey bucket listers, welcome to another episode of the Bucket List Life podcast. And this episode is a little different. Yep, it's just me. I've been putting this off for a long time. And I am really good at speaking one to many, especially in public via the stage, doing a keynote. Now, I'm not too bad. Also, one-to-one, as you've seen and with the podcast so far. But me speaking to camera like I am right now, I've got a block, I must say. But I know I've got to get over that block. So here goes. This is the first solo podcast episode that I'm recording, and hopefully there's some value in it. And I'm going to use this as a launch pad to do these regularly. What are they going to be about? Well, coaching insights, bucket list adventures. And with my schedule as a speaker, I'm literally all around the world. Right now, I'm in Dana Point in California, about to go to an event tonight and tomorrow. And yeah, so because I'm on the road, there's an opportunity in hotel rooms like this, even with the unmade bed behind me, but I just want to keep it real as well. So I want to add value, make sure I'm adding value, use this as a bit of a journal and really just keep the consistency going. Because, with the podcast, sometimes, the type of guests that, if you have been tuning in, some of the guests that I've got on are very, very busy people. My schedule is pretty full. Their schedules are pretty full. And I've always wanted to get quality guests as well. So the higher the quality of guests, the harder it is to book them in. And sometimes having that consistency is difficult to maintain. So hence why I've decided to finally do these solo episodes and literally do them from wherever I am in the world, not to just fill the gap, but as an add-on, as added value. All right. And hopefully there's some really nuggets of information and knowledge there that you can really tap into. So here we go. We've started. This is my first solo podcast. And by the way, my team, you guys are absolutely excellent, and you've pushed me, I must say, to do these solo episodes as well. And hopefully it comes out okay. All right. But I'm really, really stoked, super grateful to them and you, the listener, watcher to my Bucket List Life podcast. The original reason why I did it was because as a speaker, I connect with some amazing people, amazing other speakers, authors, thought leaders, adventurers from all around the world, and people that have been through, all sorts of different, events and come out the other side in their life. And I wanted to just share those stories. I was having conversations with these people anyway. So, the podcast was born out of me just going, you know what, we should record this. We should record this conversation and put it out, because there's some absolute gold in the conversations that I've been having with people. So that was the impetus for launching the Bucket List Life podcast, and to share people's version of them living their bucket list life. So enough of that. Let's get on to it. Now, I did a presentation recently, and it was to the PPM group, here, the Property Managers Association of Australia. And it was an amazing keynote. Sometimes when you speak, You get off stage and we go, oh my God, that was a really, it just, everyone laughed at my jokes, thank God. All the points were made. I didn't miss anything. The storytelling, and I got on time. The timing was perfect. I literally finished right when the clock, and when you're a keynote speaker, forget what they call it, but the little clock with the TV on it, it's called the cheat screen or something like that. I don't know. But it's got a clock on it. It's green is you've still got time. Red, you've gone over time. So I finished right when it turned from green to red. It was on point. I normally carry on, maybe like I'm doing right now, but I normally carry on sort of over time and really stretch the friendship with some conference organizers. And if you are a conference organizer, I'm learning not to do that, because I know how much it pisses off conference organizers and meeting planners, hosts. So getting better at that. Don't talk too much, Trav. So recently gave that talk and got off stage just sort of high-fiving myself, I've got to be honest. And, the feedback was phenomenal. From every gig, you get 2 or 3 other gigs. That's just how it goes statistically. So I reckon I got a heap more from that. The point being that Debbie, the organizer, she went around the room and collected all of these little cards. So on speaker feedback card, all right, from the PPM National Property Management Conference. There we go. And people were given the opportunity to grab one of these cards and write something on the back, as you can see on. So if you are listening to this, I'm showing you a little business card, and on the back of the business card, on front of the business card, is the Property Managers National Property Management Conference. And on the back, they get the opportunity to handwrite in pen the feedback. And it's always confronting getting feedback. So as you may or may not be able to see, I got 2 envelopes. So I'm just showing those envelopes right now. All right, there's envelope number 1, there's envelope number 2. And in the envelope, let me just open these envelopes. In these envelopes, this is way better if you're watching this. So you can go, if you're listening to this, fantastic, thank you. But if you want to watch it, go to my YouTube channel as well. So I got 2 envelopes with literally, there was 2 envelopes right there. Boom, stacked with these cards. And as you can see, lots of cards, about half an inch thick each one. And Debbie, thank you, Debbie, wrote a note. And it says on the first card, the point of this whole solo episode right now is negative thoughts and imposter syndrome and how we kind of concentrate on the negative. Yes, I'm about to reveal some negative feedback. And I don't normally get feedback like this, certainly not handwritten like this. So I'm going to read out all of these cards rapidly in this episode, and also read out the ones legitimately that were not so positive, the positive and the negative. But first, in here, in the envelope here, it says, Trav, you are a legend. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for the energy you brought to the main conference room. See you soon, Deb. Hashtag I couldn't fit all the cards in one envelope. So she obviously got a heap of feedback. The other envelope says, hey, Trav, you rocked the opening session of the conference. Keep being you and awesome, Deb. Thank you. Love feedback like that. All right, let's get to the feedback cards. This is going to come across as a little bit of a brag, but these are literally, it's interesting, right? I've been speaking for 15 years, and it's really interesting how in amongst all of these cards and this feedback is I've got so much positivity, but yet, guess what I'm focused on? Yep, the negative. Our brain is wired to pick up on the negative so much more than the positive. So I guess the lesson for today, the point of this solo episode, is to reiterate that we need to concentrate on the positive, because if we concentrate on the negative too much, it becomes cancerous, right? So I'll give you a real life example, and then I'll give you an example of how I deal with it, And by the way, public speaking is frightening. The reason why I got into public speaking was because it was my number one fear. I was really bad in high school, really kind of shy, embarrassed. I didn't really talk out. And you might be thinking, really, you're a public speaker, you've done a TED talk and you're on stages. Yeah, this is all manufactured. This is, I've done so many reps now, and that's what I encourage all the other speakers and coaches, authors that I coach. And by the way, if you don't know, I do that. I help other people to kind of do what I do and create their own personal brand and get their message out there in the world. I'll talk more about that later. In doing that, you've got to overcome imposter syndrome. Why would anyone listen to me? What have I got to say? I'm too small. Who really cares? And then you really got to back yourself, So for those that think their mess could be their message, it's an itch that they want to scratch at some point. Well, maybe we should talk. But you've got to overcome those negative, that self-doubt. And when you get feedback that's negative, that self-doubt goes to another level. Even as a seasoned keynote public speaker who's been doing this for 15 years, I'm still concentrating on the negative. Why is that, you dickhead? I'm speaking to me, not you. So I'm going to read out some of this real life. Okay, great session today, Trav. Found your presentation style easy to listen to, easy to follow, and shared the shit out of something that this person must be a doctor because their scribble, I couldn't. Anyway, really enjoyed this. Here's another one. Really enjoyed this segment. Took away some great tools to improve how I look at life. Was a great addition to the conference. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. A very timely message for me. Gave me a massive slap in the face to get going with living my life. These people, most of them were anonymous. Amazing and inspirational. Thanks, Trav, for reigniting my sense of excitement and curiosity about my bucket list. Awesome. Great. Love it. Great tips. Very inspirational, interesting, and engaging. Fantastic. Cool guy, enjoyable to listen to. Oh, God. And look at. Hee. I don't know who said that. That's literally what it says. Thank you, person. He's unreal. Would love to see him again. You've encouraged me as a 22-year-old. Now, that's the sort of feedback that I love, positively affecting the lives of young people. Thank you, Soph. If you're listening, watching this. Enjoyable, makes you think about work-life balance. That was another one. Here's another one. So motivational, eye-opening, loved it. Another one, thought-provoking, very energetic, great to listen to. Well done. Excellent. Another one, thanks for reminding me about the things I've achieved, not just future-focused. A really fun, engaging, great presentation. Thanks, Trav. Another one, great, dynamic speaker. Good to start with. How does he fit it all in? I don't know what that says. Anyway, how does he offend? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for reminding me is another one. Thanks for reminding me about the balance and bring the bucket list to the forefront. Fantastic. Love, here we go. I love this one. Love, Trav. 11 years later, still amazing. So I presented at this conference, 11 years ago, and they had me back. Super grateful for that. And that's a test of a good, I guess, keynoter is the fact that you get invited back. And there's always new ears. And I've had people see me like 3 or 4 times. And because when people, isn't it interesting for you, like when you can reread a book and reread it again, but get something new out of it every single time because you're running different filters over your life at that point in time, at those different times. So don't be afraid to go back and see someone again or reread that book or rewatch that movie or rewatch that YouTube clip because you've got different filters. Your mind, your goals are differently programmed at that point in time, that second watching, third watching. It'll basically pick up what you need at that point in time. Your reticular activating system, which is your Google search engine, will pick up what you need at that point in time. All right. So don't be afraid. Love it. 11 years later. Here's another one. Thank you, Trav. Was an awesome session. Very inspiring. Needed this. I know this sounds like such a brag session, but I'm just giving it to you. Legend. Such an inspiring talk. Loved it. Here's another one. Truly life-changing perspective. I walked away with a new plan to deliver to better the quality of my life. Thank you. Oh, my God. These are great. By the way, I have, and this sort of relates to the whole theme of this solo session, I literally have a folder, a Google folder, and an online folder, Google folder, Google Drive. Can't say that right. Google Drive folder, and also an offline, old school folder with this sort of stuff in it. So when the chips are down, I'm feeling unmotivated, uninspired, and yes, that happens. I often go back into those folders, those respective folders, online and offline, and remind myself that, look at the evidence for the positive. Remind myself that there is a lot of evidence for the positive, and I shouldn't focus on the negative. And I guess going through mental health struggles, as you may or may not be aware, going through depression, which I did, you are so inward focused on the negative that we need to build a case for the positive. And that is the point of today. I'm going to keep on going here, but that is the point of today, is to go out and build your case file. Like if you're in a court of law and it was the negative case fighting the positive case, and getting that balance right. I've always said, if you've got self-doubt, go out and build a case for the positive. Go out and build that evidence, that social proof, those testimonials of you helping people, and really get present to that positive reinforcement that comes back to you. Not the accolades, not the standing ovations, but the heartfelt thanks that people give you. I'm not good at taking, people say, oh, well done, Trav, this sort of stuff. I'm still a bit awkward with it, to be honest. And I've got to get better at taking on positive feedback still to this day. And I dare say you have to too. If people say thanks from their heart, be present with it. Let it wash over you. Take your time. Breathe through it and breathe it in. Because we're really good at doing that for the negative. And when something bad, or someone says something bad about us, or we get some negative feedback about something, we're really good at embodying the negative. But we're not so good, me included, at embodying the positive. What we've got to do is build up a case for the positive, like in a court of law, building a case, so the balance, negative and positive. So the balance of the positive outweighs the negative. So whether it's you're putting stuff out there in the world and people are saying good things, like how can you capture that rather than just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I just had a good day. That's the kind of language that I've been running for the last few years, and just had a good day. It was just a great session, and that was a fluke. But no, you've got to find a way to capture that positive feedback coming back at you. And, if you put something out there on social media, for instance, it's really easy. Just take a screenshot, a screen grab of people's comments. So that becomes a photo, and then put it into maybe a Google Drive or something like that where you can go back to and remind yourself of why you need to pursue this goal, or why, your stuff is well worth putting out there in the world. That's what I want for you. All right. Build the case for the positive and then reflect on it. We're going to keep on going here. There's a few. Great energy, loving the 3 to 4 lists and every aspect of it. Another one, can't wait to share your innovations with my son. Oh, that means the world to me. Who will take all of your inspiration and run with it. Thanks. Inspiring and extremely motivating. Really help look at my life in a different way. Thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Another one, inspirational, honest, positive, compassionate, stimulating. Okay, so so I've just made a list a pile. So far, this is what I've read out. Okay. I've just made a pile of the positive. Everything you've just heard thus far. And right here at the end of this first pile, someone wrote the following. Said, they won't even say it, F-K 37 times. So it's basically, and it says not really necessary. So this person sat in the audience and counted how many times I said fuck. And apparently I said fuck 37 times. So that's fucking eye-opening. It's not cool. The fact that I said it 37 times, and I think I'm surprised it's not more, but 37 right there. Hopefully that person got more out of it than just counting my fucks in my presentation. But okay, so that's one for the negative, and I've got 2 piles thus far. I've got this big pile of positives and this one pile of negative with 1 card in it. And then the last one is cool presentation, Trav. Love the boxes exercise. Very sobering. All right, we'll put that on the positive. We'll go to the next little pile and I'll get through this nice and quick. Love the idea of a reverse bucket list, slowly crossing things off. Can't wait to get home and create a couple's bucket list. Awesome. Put that on the positive. Excellent, Trav. Wow, I've taken a lot out of this session. Thanks so much. Lisa, There's a reason you're number 1, confronting and incredible, left speechless, and with a desire to seek out action and assess really what matters. Thank you. 24-year-old person, overwhelmed and busy. Awesome. 24-year-old, 22-year-old. Great. Another card, very fun and interactive talk that was very beneficial on a personal level. Inspirational always, fantastic start. Thank you for helping me create a plan and get off my butt, start a bucket list, not just for me, but for my family. Oh, how good is that? Super inspiring. Used to have goals, ticked them off so many, but slowed right down since having a family. Yeah, I hear that all the time. Inspired me to get cracking again. Awesome. That's the thing as a speaker. You want to make sure that you got to disrupt. You got to wake them up. So hopefully this message is waking you up as well, and you're hearing some of this stuff, and there's enough of my stuff online, and you can go to my TED Talk, you can buy a book, come and see me come and see me at an event if you want to get that kind of, shock. The shit thing about being a keynote speaker is you've only got like an hour, typically an hour with someone, and it's pretty presumptuous that you can, quote, change someone's life in an hour, right? Change someone's life. Like you're thinking a lot of yourself if you think you can change someone in an hour. Look, people think that, and that's great. But for me, I know I've got to go in there, and it's edutainment when you're a speaker, not just education, not just entertainment, but edutainment. So you've got to be engaging, you've got to disrupt, you've got to wake people up, you've got to inspire them and give them 2 to 3, hopefully more, key ideas that they can take home and use and map into their life and possibly into their family's life, which is what I'm really big on. So I think we're hitting the mark here. We're building up a case for the positive. I've still got this negative one here. All right, really touched a spot, emotional response, and emotional response job wasn't expecting, but that was life-changing. And we've got a big pile, sensational. That's what that one. Uplifting, inspiring, great, amazing on that one. Great, engaging. Off to start that bucket list is okay, cool, great ideas, but could have been okay. Here's a negative. Well, what I'm seeing is great ideas. That's part of it, but could have gone shorter. Could have been shorter. Okay, I had an hour and 15 minutes, so I want to put that on the negative pile. Okay, here's another one. Absolutely love your outlook and focus on life. I'll take that as a positive. Here's another one. Thank you. A very inspiring presentation to start the day. Plenty to think about. Keen to start on the journey. Love the idea and energy. Agree totally. Just lost best friends to cancer. So it's triggering. An art class thing. Which is a story that I talk about, and you may or may not have seen me talk about this, where I was a life drawing model, a nude life drawing model for an art class as part of my bucket list, conquer a fear. That's what that was all about. I do that to break it. I embellish that story. Well, not really embellish that story. It's a story to break up some other points and to have a laugh. But this person said, just lost best friends to cancer, so that was triggering. Yep. An art class thing, which is the story, was a little bit too much information, TMI, too much information. There it is. I'm going to put that on the negative pile just because I can work with feedback like that. Another one, great opening keynote, reminding people to live in the now, create the bucket list early and work hard to tick the things off before you've got no longer. Life is way too short. Cheers, mate, for an awesome start. Excellent. Thank you for such an inspiring presentation. Downloading your app, bucket list time. Okay, and here's the last one. Here's the last one. And it reiterates the first one in this negative pile, way too much swearing. Okay, so if you can see the screen right now, you'll be looking at a positive pile and a not so positive or negative pile. The two are very different. Boom. So I've already read through these prior to doing this solo podcast, and I've already been present with this feedback and taken it on and closed my eyes and breathed through it and really embody it. And I'm doing it again right now as I speak. But still, we've got 4 cards to the not so positive or the negative, being the not so much, way too much swearing, art class thing, too much information, great ideas, should have been shorter, said fuck 37 times. Fuck. Feedback is good. Does it say I'm a bad speaker? Does it say that I wasn't inspiring? Does it say that you're full of... And by the way, I've had hecklers. I've had someone grab the roving microphone in a room and say, you are shit, this is shit, and you are full of shit. That was at a business breakfast in the Park Hyatt in Melbourne, and it was full of CFOs of listed companies. And some of the stuff that I say is pretty confronting, possibly triggering. It triggered this guy on that morning, and I found out that his wife was going through chemo, and he'd been up all night caring for her. And he said those words in front of 200 people, 250 people that morning. And I had to deal with that. So you deal with hecklers, you deal with feedback. We can dwell on this stuff, or we can be a champion and really eat that feedback for breakfast. There's nothing negative that comes out of that. There's only positive. And the positive out of that negative, and please map this to the other areas of your life, to your life, sorry. And that could be people saying negative, not so positive or negative things about you. Train yourself to focus on the positive and be present to the positive. Train yourself to use this negativity as a blip on the radar, a blip on the positive radar of your life. And without feedback like that, I can't get better. So I am in complete appreciation, and so should you be, complete appreciation for the honesty that these people had bestowed upon me, on these feedback cards. Will I rein in the amount of times I say fuck? Yep, I will. Could I have been shorter? Yep, I could. Can I stop embellishing that story about the art club? Totally. So I give massive thanks to the people that filled out, all the cards to the positive. And I actually give even more love to the people that have had the balls, the courage to give me this not so positive feedback. I want to thank them. I want to meet them, even though they haven't signed it, or I don't know who they are, but I want to thank them and meet them and say thank you, because without this stuff, I can't get better. So this is the stuff that makes us better. The feedback that you're getting in your life makes you better. So thank you for the inspiring cards, the positive cards, but double thank you for the negative, because I know I can do better. I'm certainly not perfect. And speaking for me is my art form. And I just want to get better and better at being able to service everybody in the right way. Not to appease everyone. Still got to disrupt. You've still got to polarize to a certain extent when you're putting yourself out there in the world. So when you're polarizing, when you've got an opinion, when you're disrupting the narrative that everyone else around you is speaking, you're gonna get your haters. You're gonna get people that give you not so positive feedback. But that's actually when you're doing it right. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't get that, the negative. So I might have to start a folder of the negative folder, or let's just say the feedback folder. This is my art form. This makes me a better artist. How can you map that into your life? All right. Build a case for the positive, embody the positive, but don't let the negative stop you from putting yourself out there, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in your health, whether it be in your leadership, you as a parent, you as a friend, family member, putting your business out there in the world, taking those risks, because risk, reward. If you don't risk it, you won't get the biscuit. I can't believe I just said that out loud. You got to risk it for the biscuit. So don't let this stop you from putting yourself out there more and more. We need more people challenging the narrative and not being a sheep. We've got enough of them. So I encourage you to put yourself out there more, take more risks, know that the feedback is coming on the positive and in the negative. Put it out there on social media. Who cares? But do it. Life's way too short not to be your true self. If you go through life just appeasing, wanting everyone to love you, it's never going to happen. The more you put yourself out there, possibly the more haters you're going to get. Who knows? But that's the stuff that shapes us. So I'm going to use that feedback and this solo episode of the Bucket List Life podcast as a launch pad for me, putting myself out there more and doing more episodes, like this, because I'm running some sort of program, some sort of negative program as to why, or I've got some sort of, block as to why I haven't done it earlier. But now I have. And thank you for listening and watching. And hopefully you've got some real gold out of this for yourself. And I'd love to hear your feedback, and please type in the comment section below there on YouTube as well as to what you got out of this episode. So guys, from me to you, thank you so much for listening. And obviously subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. Thanks a lot for engaging. Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to the Bucket List Life podcast with the world's #1 bucket list expert, Trav Bell. For more great content, go to www.thebucketlistguy.com. We'll see you next time.